Fight One show. Let's go. Ariel Helwani exposing Dana White. Yeah, it's nothing new. But after this UFC event between Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis on UFC 297, it's been a lot of talks between people, specifically in mainstream media. Let us take a look at this.
Sean Strickland wore a shirt to a press conference before his fight recently that said, "A woman in every kitchen, a gun in every hand," right? And so this is the other aspect of what happens when everybody can show personality. That this dude has a bunch of opinions that, personally, I won't even categorize for the moment because, again, I'm not here to moralize.
Pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay? No, are you? Let me know. Are you gay?
Can I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking. This is the part. Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak man, dude. You're part of the problem.
I think it's textbook to say, objective to say, that it was incredibly explicitly homophobic. But I say that to get to the point that Dana White, the president and CEO of the UFC...
Free speech. Control what people say. Going to tell people what to believe. Going to tell people... I don't tell any other human being what to say. Free speech, brother. People can say whatever they want and they can believe whatever they want.
So afterwards, Ariel Helwani tried to explain that Dana White is two-faced or hypocrite, in other words. He tried to explain that he changed his mind because back in the days, a lot of UFC fighters will get fined or get punished if they speak the mind of different topics. A lot of people wondering why Dana White changed his mind. Why Dana White took a different stance for free speech. Why right now?
Oh, his policy was actually quite clear. Like, you can't go around offending people. In fact, I would say his policy was keep it to yourself. Right? There was once a time in 2015, a fighter named Yoel Romero won a big fight in Florida, and he is of Cuban descent.
What happened to you? Wake up, USA! Go back for you, go for Jesus. No forget Jesus, people.
And so still to this day, we don't know if he said, don't forget Jesus or no for gay Jesus. We still don't know. He has not made this clear. And he got a huge amount of backlash afterwards. And Dana White, in an interview with me, which is still on YouTube, said, just leave your religion to yourself. No one wants to hear it.
You just won the biggest fight of your career, America doesn't want to hear your thoughts on Jesus. And, keep that stuff at home. Religion, politics, all that stuff. When you're out there fighting and you're being interviewed, they want to hear about the fight. It's awesome that you love Jesus. Love Jesus all you want. Just don't have to do it publicly.
There was one example from 2013.
2013, okay.
This is Matt Mitrione.
So Matt Mitrione was a former NFL player who then fought in the UFC. He actually used to come on my show every once in a while for a fun little segment called the Mitrione Minute. And it was basically him roasting people in the sport. Stuff that he said back then probably would never fly in this day and age. And there was a fighter named Fallon Fox, who was a transgender fighter, who was a really big story at the time. Everyone was doing stories on her.
A trans woman.
Yes. And he went off. Like, it was pretty intense.
I check his fight videos and holy shit, I have not seen a man beat a woman like that since Chris Brown beat Rihanna. He was a man. And 6 years of taking performance-enhancing drugs you think is going to change all that? That's ridiculous. That is a lying, sick, sociopathic, disgusting freak.
He got suspended, and the UFC put out a statement, and he had to apologize. And so this was, I believe, April of 2013. It was shortly thereafter, me talking to Dana White about it all. And as you can see, he's talking about a UFC fighter, and he's saying, like, no, there's a line, right? You can't go there.
I know that there was a lot of talk, free Mitrione and all this stuff with the fans, and it's freedom of speech and all this stuff. That's absolutely ridiculous. Work at any company anywhere in America and go out and say ignorant, stupid stuff publicly. Even on top of that, say it publicly in a big, place where people can go read it or hear it publicly and see what happens to you, And, it's like, oh, we agree with what Mitrione said. Well, you can agree with what Mitrione said, but he called her a disgusting freak and, compared her to Silence of the Lambs and things like that. There's a way to voice your opinion without sounding like a bigot. You know what I mean?
It's all about the money. Keep in mind, UFC is the only sport entity where you can speak freely. You can say whatever you want. And that's make a lot of people attached to UFC. Everybody wants to hear crazy shit all the time. Just imagine if your favorite basketball player couldn't talk crazy all the time. Your favorite football player could say whatever he want. Your favorite baseball player will say crazy thing, express himself all the time. That is the UFC right now. UFC is cross between WWE and 90s boxing.
Point is the summer of 2016. In the summer of 2016, July of 2016 to be exact, the UFC is sold for $4.025 billion. At the time, an astronomical number. No sports entity had ever been sold for that amount. In retrospect, it was a steal, right? If it's sold today, it's probably 10, 11, just look at WWE,
that's like
right?
An NFL team plus a little.
Exactly. And so shortly thereafter, Dana, like literally a week or so after, Dana White's first appearance publicly is at the GOP convention on behalf of his friend Donald Trump, who has been a longtime supporter of combat sports, pro wrestling, boxing, and MMA, who would host events at his casinos in Atlantic City and whatnot. And he went up there, and it was a bit of a departure for Dana White because he had always been like the guy who said, like, keep politics out, keep religion out, keep these controversial takes out.
What's up, GOP?
And then in 2016, because of the rise of Donald Trump and his relationship with Donald Trump, he started to get a little bit more political over time. And now he would probably say, I'm not getting political. But of course, when you're appearing at something like that, you are getting political, right? Donald Trump becomes president, and that's an amazing ally to have. And he's on planes with him. And the Venn diagram between the two worlds is starting to get even bigger. That little part in the middle, whatever the hell that part is called, is starting to get bigger and bigger, right? The MMA world or the UFC world.
Overlap.
Yes, the overlap. 2020, everything changes. What changes in 2020? COVID happens. And what happens? Everyone else shuts down. If it was up to Dana White, he wouldn't have shut down one single event, one single weekend. He would have kept going. The first event that shut down was in late March of 2020. He wanted to keep going. He tried every which way to keep going. He found a Native American reservation in the United States, in Oklahoma. He found another one in California that were, not beholden to the same state rules, that he was going to hold events. Eventually, in mid-April of 2020, Disney said stop. Disney being, the parent company of ESPN, his broadcast partner said stop. We need to take a breath. That only lasted 3 weeks. And then early May, they hosted a series of events in Jacksonville in an empty arena. And at the time, he said, I'm going to be first. I'm going to, keep the show rolling. And what it did was it made his sport exponentially popular because people who were bored watched. The rise of sports gambling, right? Mm-hmm. People are now saying, like, I got my parlay Saturday night. I've got 8 hours of entertainment when there's nothing going on. Huge, right? And because of the people who thought, COVID is a joke. This is all a joke. This is the one guy who's spitting in the face of all of this. This is my guy. Towards the end of 2020 was, okay, there's a lane here and there's an opportunity to be the voice and the sport of this entire community that maybe feels like the other sports entities are not serving them or in line with their beliefs.
But here's something I kind of disagree with Ariel Helwani. UFC is not here to save people. Dana White is not an angel. He's not trying to be angel. Dana White is the businessman. If he getting money, he make more money for the company. He make right choices. That is the only right choice he gonna do is make money. Dana White understand that he making a lot of money right now. He understand a lot of people like to hear crazy shit all the time, and UFC is the place for it. Censorship has never been this high in human history. So Dana White is real capitalist and he capitalized off of it. That means you can say whatever you want here in UFC is only sport entity. People can go crazy. And that's what make people flock and come in masses and watch UFC. A common UFC fan will see all the press conference to hear something crazy. That's what make UFC a lot of money. And that is my 2 cents on it. Ariel Helwani holding Dana White to high standards. And that is the wrong thing. He tried to make Dana White look like he's fucking Putin or Kim Jong-un or something. Dana White is only an MMA promoter. He tried to make money. So yeah, Dana White is hypocrite. Yeah, everybody's hypocrite. Even I am hypocrite. So I want to see your thoughts on this comment, friend. And I'm out. Fight one show.